A couple of my clients have asked me in the past if putting your partner on a guilt trip is a form of emotional abuse. It can be. It can be used in a way that you are manipulating your partner and your main source or vice is using guilt trips. But in a real sense, when you're married or when you're with someone a long time, everybody will use some sort of guilt. They'll use that during one part or a small part of a conflict, of a struggle between the couple. So I can't say it's really abusive because it's not abusive all the time. It's quite natural. But when you use it exclusively because you know it works and you know it hurts your partner, then I would say it would err on the abuse side. And you know, what happens if you are with someone who does guilt trip more than you would like? Well, the first thing is identifying what sort of guilt is motivating you or really getting at you. Is it moral guilt, where they try to tell you something you're doing is immoral, like maybe with sexuality, they'll say, oh, that's immoral, or we never did that, or, you know, that's really nasty, or whatever. Those kinds of things can make you feel bad. Sympathy-seeking. A lot of people will use guilt as a way of getting sympathy. Well, I just thought, you know, you would help me out, and you have so much more than me. So they'll try to gain your sympathy and get your guilt going that way. Manipulation, and this is the type that's abusive. They'll try to manipulate it with you. You should know better. I can't believe you did that. You'll see that sometimes with parenting, and although it may not be used in an abusive form of manipulation, it is a tactic like that. And avoiding conflict. A lot of times when there should be an honest discussion about something, one of the partners will use a guilt trip. Well, I was having a bad day. You know how it was for me. I felt like I had the whole world on my shoulders. And rather than them coming to the table and telling you the truth, I failed, I broke a promise, they will use guilt as a way to get back into your good graces. So how do you know if you're in a relationship with someone who uses guilt as a primary source of motivation to get you what you want, what they want? Well, there's several forms. They can use degrading comments. They can say things to you that basically bring you down, make you feel really bad about yourself, like you're not a generous or loyal person. They can use sarcasm, making it sound like it's a joke, but they're really not. They can use the silent treatment. The silent treatment is absolutely a way to punish you through guilt. Listing your mistakes. Many times people, when you make one mistake, they'll go back and give you a whole list of past mistakes so that you will feel guilty, like you are failing them in a relationship and as a person. They may make you feel guilty by favors. They may say, well, you know, I did this for you 2 years ago. I can't believe you won't do this for me. It's a small favor. They'll work a way that, once again, they're twisting the truth to get you to do what they want. They may keep tabs on what you owe. A lot of monetary couples that struggle with money, they will actually tit for tat over finances and say, well, you know, last month I helped you out. This month, especially if they're not married or they don't have a committed relationship or a joint account, that's a real form of manipulation that is used frequently. They display passive-aggressive thoughts or assertions, saying something like, you know, they won't tell you outright what they want, but at the same time, they let it be known. They may roll their eyes or, you know, leave something out that you specifically had asked them to put away just because they're mad at you and they can't tell you. And then you will reflect and go, oh my gosh, I should have done that for them. You know, they feel bad about it. And they let me know passive aggressively. They may introduce guilty body language like sigh or slam a door, something that makes you feel bad about the decision you made. They may ignore you. And once again, this would kind of go with silent treatment, but they may just like be talking to you and a friend and all of a sudden cut you out completely with eye contact ignoring you totally because they're mad, because they want you to feel bad about something you said or did, but they weren't courageous enough to step up and tell you directly. They may make indirect comments, and this is once again kind of the cowardly form of trying to make you feel guilty over something. What should you do if you're on the receiving end? I think the most important thing is that you speak up. You tell them, listen, I don't appreciate this when you try to make me feel guilty. I have a very good conscience. I'm very clued in to what you're saying, and it really bothers me. And then I would practice with them what you would prefer that they do, what you would prefer they say, and how they act. And lastly, I would suggest counseling. And the reason is therapists are very good at seeing when someone uses this as a main tactic. And you may say, Mary Jo, how do they learn this? They learn it from a parent. And usually, I've never met a guilt tripper, someone who specifically does it, like as a form of motivation, that didn't have a parent who was a master at it. And therapists can see through that, and they'll usually suggest, I don't think you're being exactly honest, and the guilt tripper will not like that, but they will ask about it. They'll be curious, and the therapist will say, I've noticed you do these behaviors under the radar as a way of getting back at your partner or making them feel guilty. And that's not really being honest in the relationship. That's kind of sneaking around to get what you want. Therapy is also really good at helping the guilt tripper become aware of these tactics and how they learn them, and then minimizing them by giving them other suggestions. And most of those suggestions are, you need to use your words and you need to say up front directly what you need in the future.